It's Colombia, not Colombia. Colombia with an O.
Welcome everybody to episode number 31 of the Colombia Soccer Pod. Now, I know we advertised this as the season premiere, and you all seen this channel, and it's new practically. So yeah, I think you might be asking, well, why episode 31? Sounds weird, like it sounds like it should be the first episode. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about that later, but right now I just want to say thank you. because we've been working on this particular night now for a couple of years. This goes back to 2020, about 2 years ago at this time, beginning of 2020. And this was a big milestone, if you will, for this show. Now, to explain, it is episode 31 because this goes back to 2 years ago. The lineage goes back to the very beginnings of the show as the It's Colombia, Not Colombia soccer podcast, which myself and my boy in Philadelphia, El Parcero Philly, created as well. Shout out to John in Philadelphia because he was a big part of making this happen as a podcast at the beginning, again, 2 years ago. And now here we are. This is 2022. This is year number 3 of the show. And we wanted to make it big because this is going to be a big, big year for Colombian soccer. And the only way to do it is to do it big. And especially because we know that with the World Cup coming up, with qualifiers coming up for both the men and the women, and maybe some extra attention to the local leagues given the star power that we're going to count on in 2022, well, we figure we hop on the YouTuber wave. This is the first time that we launch on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitch. So thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are watching on all 3 platforms, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow us, to like our page. We've already had, in just 4 days since we launched the Facebook page, over 100 likes. Thank you so much for this continued growth, and share with your friends. I know that this is, again, high time now for Colombian soccer talk. It's going to be all in English for all of you who speak English, of course. I mean, that's the point of the show. Speak English. For those of you who have the experience of growing up in the US, of growing up in the UK, in Australia, European countries, all over the world. We've had on the podcast, we've had listeners from all corners of the world. We've even had listeners from Colombia itself who listen in English, which is fantastic and amazing at the same time. So thank you again so much for joining us. Make sure to subscribe again also because you're going to have the alert right when we go live every time. And this show is going to go on every Monday. But as I will explain, because it's going to happen very soon, we're going to have some emergency shows coming up later. For example, coming very soon, we're going to have the new roster, La Convocatoria, for Colombia for the qualifier games next week and the following. So that one is going to be an emergency show because it's just going to be whenever the roster drops, we're going to be on to analyze it all. So subscribe, like it, make sure to follow us because that's how you're going to get alerted when we get a new episode coming up. We're also on social media, as you can see on the screen very soon. There you go. That's my name. My name is Juan Pimiento. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow me at Pimiento Football on Twitter, and you can follow us on Twitter at ConcuSoccerPod. Also on Instagram, which is brand new. So we're looking for followers. Colombia Soccer Pod. And also on Facebook, right here on Facebook, if you're watching, of course, you can follow us, the Colombia Soccer Pod, for all the content and, again, all the updates about the show. Now, today, again, we got a big one because we have the preview of what's coming in 2022 for Colombian soccer. Men, women, we have club, we have country, a lot of things going on at home and abroad. So we're going to break it all down because, again, I expect this to be a big year. And I don't think I've been this excited about a particular year in Colombian soccer. Maybe like World Cup years, like 2014, 2018, even 98, which was my first World Cup, and I was only 6. I was excited. The country was excited. But this, I feel like this hits all fronts because, again, of all the fronts that I mentioned, they're all going to have something really big on the line this year. So we're going to hit it all. And starting, of course, with the men's national team. Maybe you noticed, maybe you don't. If you didn't notice, I don't blame you. Because it was a little bit not so excitable, relevant, if you will. Colombia played yesterday. Colombia played yesterday against Honduras. It was a victory for Colombia 2-1. First victory in 5 games, first goals for Colombia in 5 games. I mean, I know it's a friendly, so we still have a little bit of a lump in the throat when it comes to the qualifiers and screaming a goal. So let's hope that the drought ends next week. But for now, at least, we get to see Colombia win. We get to see Colombian score in a game that feature 2, maybe 3 players who figure in the next roster for the games against Peru, against Argentina. We'll see. But it was mostly like a typical, if you're in the U.S. and you follow U.S. soccer, you know this. Every year, U.S. soccer, on the men's side, they do like a January camp, right? And they feature mostly younger players in MLS, established players in MLS, but it's mostly MLS, just to kind of give them a little bit of the rub, if you will, of the big leagues, of the big national team. This was something similar. I mean, it's not something that Colombia has never done, but it was weird. And I gotta say, when this was announced, I do have to say that I felt a little bit uneasy about the timing of all of this, because we do have a big game coming up next Friday. I mean, it's not like this is like like an August game into a September qualifier game. No, we're talking like less than 2 weeks away. And when you have Juanfer Quintero in there and Miguel Borja in there, the first thing I thought was, man, I don't care if we win, if we lose or draw. We got to stay healthy, man. We got to stay healthy. I don't want to hear about Juanfer Quintero suffering even a little bit of a scratch, which, by the way, ended up happening. So now we're all freaking out. We're all freaking about this contusion that Quintero suffered during the game that cost him to not even make it to halftime. Being that he had scored a goal, being that he was the captain, I mean, he was by far, it wasn't even close, the best player on the field. And he couldn't even make it to halftime before he felt something and had to get out of the game. Now, what we got in return was something really cool, and I feel like it's the one thing that everybody's talking about, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But for now, that was my main concern. I mean, I was just worried senseless about Quintero's health, about Miguel Borja's health. Sure, maybe even Jimmy Chará, because Chará is kind of in the pool, if you will, on the fringes of a call-up. So, sure, I mean, Chará, but mainly Quintero, because, I mean, él es el crack. I mean, he's the guy that matters the most in this game. So, he got to show his skills, he got to score, but now he's off the game, and now we're waiting to see what happens, unfortunately. So, if you ask me, if I were Rueda, there was no way I would have done this game at all. I mean, cool to gather the players together, cool to have, the almost like the Liga BetPlay all-stars in the game, but was it worth it? Ultimately, I wouldn't say no. I don't think so. I don't think it was really worth it, quite frankly, because it was just too much of a risk. And again, we'll see. From the sounds of it, it doesn't sound too pressing. Like, it sounds like Quintero might end up making it to the qualifier. But why even risk it? I mean, that's the problem. Like, why even risk it? At the end of the day, Colombia won. Colombia won in a game that, again, it was supposed to kind of feature and showcase and get a look for a lot of the Liga BetPlay players. Some of them got their first start, their first cap, if you will, for Colombia. I mean, most of them did. I mean, Chunga, Yeimar Gomez, Homer Martinez, Freddy Nestroza, Steven Vega, Daniel Giraldo, even Harold Preciado, who had participated in the Olympics, but that's under 23. Then you got Ginás in Colorado, and Andres Angulo. And then you have the big name. And this was the big trending topic coming out of this game. Bigger than the victory and anything that happened results-wise, the thing that everybody's been talking about since yesterday is Yasser Asprilla. Now, we had a lot of hype around this kid. 18 years old. He killed it last season in Liga BetPlay with Envigado. He kind of burst into the scene, and it was pretty amazing to see how a kid this young, and I mean, we've had plenty of prospects in the past, with when it comes to Colombia. It's not anything new, but to see now one with the actual senior team put on the kind of show that he did yesterday was pretty remarkable. And now everybody's talking about Yasser Asprilla, and especially now because we know, and it's confirmed, it's official now, that he's making the leap to Europe, at least in on paper. He's joining Watford, he's going to Europe, and he'll be on loan this year. Apparently, it's looking very likely that he's going to Deportivo Cali, the defending champions, only getting stronger, so that he can play Copa Libertadores. And you know as well as I do what a showcase Copa Libertadores is for young players in South America as a whole. So if Asprilla has a big showing in Copa Libertadores with Cali, which let's hope so, and we'll get to Copa Libertadores and all that entails later on. If he can have a big showing, then he's at Watford next year. I think that's the hope for Watford. That's the hope for all of us who have seen Yasser, who saw him yesterday, and who see the kind of quality he can provide for Colombia. And he killed it. He showed all that spunk, all that spice, all that attitude, el descaro that he showed in Liga BetPlay. He wasn't afraid. When he wore the jersey, he wasn't afraid. In fact, he showed off. And he was a big part of the game, especially in the second half, in which, after Quintero left the game, Colombia really lost its soul. Colombia lost its engine. Colombia lost its creativity. It looked like Colombia was back to that dark place that we've seen Colombia, unfortunately, hit very often in the last couple of months in qualifiers. It's been really lifeless. That Paraguay game was sad. I think Colombia reached a rock bottom, if you will, that we haven't seen in a while. And I talked about this on this very podcast back then. If you want to listen, you can listen on iTunes. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it. iTunes, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher. The recap is there. And you can listen to what I talked about as being the most dejected I had felt for Colombia and towards Colombia in a long, I'm talking like over 10 years. Back to the dark ages when Colombia didn't qualify for 16 years, 4 straight World Cups, 3 straight World Cups technically. And it was just sad. And you were just depressed as a Colombia fan. And I felt like now, in this situation, we were just sad. And part of this game was that. Part of this game was Colombia really losing its way and not finding a way, and Honduras getting closer and closer. They draw the penalty kick, which then leads to the goal. And then Asprilla lights it up. And Asprilla participates in the play that led to Colorado's goal with a brilliant pass of his own. Found, believe it was Chara. Found Chara in the box. Chara hits it to Colorado, who crashed in the box. Something that Colombia stopped doing in the game. And finally, he was able to crash into the box, find the space, and there was the goal. And everybody now is talking about Asprilla. Now, I've seen some people out there actually talking about calling Yasser Asprilla, 18 years old, barely a pro again. This guy broke out last year. And if this sounds familiar, it's because we've had many of these flashes, if you will, many of these shooting stars, young shooting stars who bust out in Copa Libertadores, in Liga BetPlay, in some friendly for Colombia. And now we're talking about, okay, bring him in because he's the answer now. We got to have him on the national team. Not so fast. He debuted in 2020 for Envigado. And again, you can't deny talent. I'm not one to say that if he didn't deserve it, he shouldn't be called. I just have to slow the horse a little bit. Because, yes, he has talent just oozing out of every part of his being. Yes, he's a guy who, for a team that's been largely dead over the last couple of months, that seems to crash into this wall and just can't find a way through, maybe he's the guy. He's the spark. He's Junior Montaño in 1999. Maybe, I don't know, he is trying to think of like the big names, or like the flashy names that kind of crashed and burned. Marlos Moreno, 2016. Where's he now? So those are the cautionary tales. And yes, I know that, for example, a guy like James Rodriguez, we put him in right off of World Cup in Colombia, the Under-20 World Cup, right into the squad against Bolivia in the altitude in 2011 with Leonel Alvarez as the coach, and he's been there ever since. But again, James had been a pro for many years at Banfield, at the time at Porto, so he was seasoned and ready. Jase is not, and that's my fear. I mean, my fear is that we're going to send a guy into the Lions again, and how many kids, again, have been burned in Colombia because of this hurry to just throw people into the fire, into the sharks, and let them swim, and kind of put this tag of almost like a savior for Colombia. It's not fair. It's really not fair. So I don't think it's fair for him. And again, because Colombia is not devoid of talent. It's not like we don't have the talent. It's just the problem mainly is the coaching, unfortunately. So again, Yazar can be called up by Rueda in a few days. But if the coaching isn't there, and it's not going to matter. You can bring in, Pide Valderrama and throw him into a time machine going back 15, 20, 30 years. If you put him in there and the coaching is not right, as has been the case for the last few months, it's not going to make a difference. So, yes, Jasser for the future, absolutely. And I'm so happy the fact that he's already in a process, and also a very deliberate process, by the way. Going to Watford saying, you know what? Let's send them over to a team in Colombia that plays Copa Libertadores, higher difficulty, higher expectations too. Let him go, get some minutes, get that competition, and then we'll take him in to the Premier League. Well, if Watford stay in the Premier League. But let's take him in. I love that. Because again, Marlos Moreno, that's the one go-to. Man City bought him from Nacional and never even set foot at the Etihad for Man City. Even in a friendly. He's been on loan forever and ever, and with no prospects of going anywhere. Again, for a kid who was compared to the to Tino Asprilla, to all these cracks, and I'm like, no, like, easy. We bought into the hype and we burned the kid. So Asprilla, great. Slow the horses down. Other takeaways. Borja was no good, and it's kind of worrying. And I know that Borja is, again, he's not in season. He's going back to junior. Liga BetPlay starting this Thursday. I mean, again, he's not in the rhythm yet. But I mean, I kind of figured that him being one of the two guys who are experienced, who are in the regular squad, who's a starter. Borja is the go-to striker for Rueda. I mean, that much is pretty clear. He kind of disappointed yesterday, honestly. I expected bigger things for him. Again, maybe it's fitness, it's just going back into the rhythm, we'll see, but he better hurry, because again, we have a game next Friday. And if he's not in rhythm and Rueda continues to trust him the way he does, then it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good prospect for Colombia against Peru and Argentina. So I was disappointed with Borja. Of the guys who are kind of new or not regulars, if you will, in Colombia, I was impressed with Jaymar Gomez. And MLS fans, you know this. The guy was an all-star for Seattle Sounders. So he's good. He's got quality. Not for nothing. He came to Seattle from Estudiantes de La Plata. So he's not for nothing. And I thought he was good. He was a bright spot. I thought Daniel Giraldo also shined through, especially when he wasn't there. And when he got taken out, I thought the team lost something when he was off the field. Other than that, Chara, very active, with his movements, but again, nothing really of note. But I thought Preciado was actually better than Chara. Believe it or not. I thought Harold Preciado was actually a little bit more collaborative, had more influence in the game than Jimmy Chara himself. But other than that, again, it's kind of hard to take away anything else because realistically, who of these players is really going to feature in the qualifiers in January and in March? I mean, I know that Roman got a call up. I know that Ginás. There was a group of these kids these guys. They're not all kids who were called up to the Colombia team for the Bolivia trip, right? None of them played, but the guy called up. It was Roman. It was Ginás. It was Alex Mejia. I remember him getting the call up as well. There was a few of them. I think Eder Chaus as well. Eder Chaus, the goalkeeper. So I know that, again, it's something that Rueda likes to do, but realistically, and Rueda kind of alluded to the fact that he might call some of the players up from this squad. Does that include Quintero and Borja? Because that's two. So there's only one more spot. Who is it going to? I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know. Maybe Homer Martinez, maybe Jamar Gomez, because Colombia kind of suffers a little bit at center back. You know, Colombia has two reliable center backs today. Carlos Cuesta and Oscar Murillo. Those two are the starters, and that I rely on the most. And I know Davinson is back in rhythm, which is great news. Great news. But with Colombia, he's had a shaky performances. Jerry Mina, I mean, that's a whole nother level of shakiness. I don't think Jerry Mina should start for Colombia anymore. I think Jerry Mina is done. And with that, let's just transition now to, the big talking point for Colombia this year. Are we going to Qatar? Are we going to the World Cup? Should we start saving for a trip to the Middle East? Should we start getting them loans, them plane tickets, mortgaging our houses? Should we start prepping for Qatar at the end of the year? I sure hope so. I mean, I'm not going, but I sure hope that we can actually go as a team, as a country, to Qatar, to the World Cup. It would be a massive failure. That goes without saying. It would be a massive failure to go in a World Cup that is so up and down and is so unstable. When you have this middle of the pack, right? When you have this middle of the pack of Colombia and Uruguay and Chile and Peru. Bolivia snuck in, which is amazing. Paraguay is hanging on by a thread. I think Ecuador is through. Not mathematically, but they're through. I mean, it's a 6-point advantage between them and Colombia. I think they're in. Ecuador is in. Again, amazing for a team that was in such disarray. Ecuador failed to qualify for Russia. They hired Bolillo Gomez. That goes completely awry. Then they hired Jordi Cruyff, who doesn't even run a single training session before he bolts. They bring in Alfaro, never managed a national team, and he bets on these young players who, of course, shined, from the ranks of Independiente del Valle, mainly Emelec, Liga de Quito, Barcelona. Especially Independiente del Valle, who have a stellar youth program. I mean, it's worth studying. And if you haven't, there's a website called La Pizarra del DT. And they did an in-depth look into Independiente del Valle's youth system. And this goes on the field and off the field with their schooling as well. Amazing. And here they are. That's who they're relying on. They mix in a few veterans, but they managed to get a squad in that's actually going to fast forward their clock for a team that everybody, even in Ecuador, figured, okay, let's make a run into the World Cup in 2022. If we don't qualify, at least let's fight for it. Get a team together, form the basis for a team in 2026. And here we are. They're going to Qatar. They pushed the clock forward 4 years. and Colombia are struggling to get in with a squad and a pool that is mostly established. Ospina is a veteran. Medina, Mina, Davinson, Tecillo, Oscar Murillo is a veteran. Jason Murillo, Bernardo Espinosa. Everybody. Mateus Uribe, Barrios, Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz is established. He's the crown jewel of Colombian soccer today. James, and that's a whole nother novela in itself. Quintero, Borja, Duan Zapata, Muriel, Falcao, Borré, everybody. It goes on and on. Lerma, everybody established, and we're not there. We're not at Ecuador's level, which is incredible. We got some games coming up that are, again, I don't have to say it. It's do or die. At least 3 of the 4. The next one coming up, it feels like it's do or die against Peru. Not only for the rival, of course. Peru is a rival that if they beat us, they overtake us. And now we're behind the 8 ball. Now we're behind, fighting now for maybe fifth place, repechaje. Peru is a team that already did us pretty heavy in Copa América last summer, twice. Let's not forget, because we faced Peru twice in Copa América, lost the first one, 2-1. An ugly showing. Colombia had their moments, but especially on defense. And I talked about Jerry Mina. Jerry Mina had an own goal in that game, in the group stage. And that wasn't even the worst part. It was so bad. Then came the rematch for third place. That incredible goal by Luis Diaz to win it, walk off. Amazing. But it was 3-2. La Padula was running circles around Colombia. It was amazing. So we suffered, but it was amazing. So it's not going to be easy for Colombia facing Peru. Not even at home. Not even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Barranquilla. It's not going to be easy at all. Or 4 o'clock technically in Barranquilla. I'm thinking Chicago time. So what can we expect? We got Peru. We got Argentina on the road. Argentina already in the World Cup, but they're not going to just let us walk in. We've seen this movie before. How many times have we been screwed by Argentina? Do I want to go back? Do we want to remember 2002, 2006? My God. They're not going to lay down for us. Even without Messi, which is something we found out today. Messi's not going to be in the qualifiers this month because of COVID. So, even without Messi, they're on such a high as far as morale that they're not going to be easy to win. If we get a draw, if we beat Peru and draw Argentina, boy, I'm feeling much better going into March. March is Bolivia. Bolivia, again, found their way in to the mix. Amazingly enough, after being such a disaster for the better part of the last 20 years, they're actually in a path to go to the World Cup, which would be it would be amazing, but it would be so emblematic of these qualifiers in which nothing is predictable. Besides the top, nothing is predictable. It would be incredible for Bolivia to make it somehow to the World Cup. Even playoff, repechaje will be incredible. They're coming to Barranquilla in March. Must win. And then we got the finale. And I'm already nervous. We're 2 months away. I'm already nervous for that one for so many reasons. Because Venezuela always. I'm cleaning something here. Hold on. I got a smudge here. I don't mean to, put my hand over the camera. Venezuela always screws us too, especially on the road. I can't recall the last time Colombia beat Venezuela in Venezuela. Honestly, it's been a while. I think maybe like 1987, 1986 could be the last time. Throw in the fact that none other than Jose Peckerman is going to manage that. It just writes itself. The disaster is there for the making. It's a Hollywood tragedy waiting to happen, excuse me, for Colombia. I'm not wishing it. God forbid I'm wishing Colombia. But I'm just saying, like, it would just be something. Murphy's Law. If Beckerman is the one to kick Colombia off the World Cup, after all we've been through together, he screws us again, leaving us out of the World Cup. But again, those are 3 games that we have to win. Peru at home, Bolivia at home, Venezuela at home. And whatever we can snatch out of Argentina and Cordoba, we'll take it. Anything. 1 point, 3 points would be amazing. Because we haven't won there in a while too. It's been, a good 29 years since that famous 5-0 September 5th, 1993. We haven't won there. We've drawn, but not won. So we'll see. I'm feeling nervous. I know you're feeling nervous too. If you put me on the spot right now, ask me, hey, do you think Colombia's making it? I'm going to tell you we are. Not because I hope so, solely, but because I gotta feel like that despite the coaching, that Colombia, this squad has enough pride to not let this fall through their hands. Especially when Colombia control their own destiny. We're sitting 4th place. Colombia handled their own fate. I don't think Colombia are going to allow this to happen. Certainly, let's hope so. So we'll see. We're going to have a big day coming up. I think maybe as soon as Wednesday, we could be receiving the confirmed squad for the games against Peru and Argentina. As soon as we do, we're going to have it on our social media. So again, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And also because we're going to have a reaction show. So I'm going to be back here with you in the coming days to analyze the squad with you. And I want to hear from you. What do you think? Who should be in? Who should be out? What do you make of the squad? Surprises? Snubs? We'll talk about it also. Stay tuned again. Follow us because you'll be the first one alerted. If you like us, subscribe to us. You'll be alerted when I go live to talk about La Convocatoria for Peru and Argentina. But Colombia, the men's side, is not the only team looking to qualify for a World Cup. We have the women's team, Las Superpoderosas. They're vying for a spot in their World Cup as well, which is happening in 2023 in Australia and New Zealand. But to get there, we have a Copa América in Colombia. We were supposed to have one last year, and that didn't happen. So we're getting one this year for the women. July 8th through July 30th is the schedule for this tournament, Copa América Femenina 2022, in 3 cities. Shout out to you if you are from Armenia, Cali, or Bucaramanga, which I was just in Bucaramanga now in December, so, maybe I'll go back. We'll see. Maybe to watch Copa América Femenina. But three stadiums, 3 cities for this big appointment, esta gran cita, if you will, for Colombia. For a team that couldn't make it to the last World Cup in 2019 over in France. Unfortunately, Colombia couldn't make it. Colombia actually tried. They bid for this World Cup in 2023. It didn't happen. It's going again to Australia and New Zealand, but it's been a while now. It's gonna be now almost 8 years since the last World Cup for Colombia, which was that incredible run. So fun, so exhilarating for Colombia in Canada when they made it to the round of 16 in Canada, out of a group that included France, England, and Mexico. I'll never forget, especially that Mexico game. That was amazing. Beating France was phenomenal, incredible, and then losing to the U.S. on a very, very stout, very what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm like switching between languages. You know how this is. Very I don't know. Well, you know what I'm saying. We were proud. We were proud of the girls in Canada in 2015. And again, this is now a responsibility almost for Colombia to make it to the World Cup in home soil 2022. We know that Brazil are the class. Also out of South America from the last World Cup went Argentina and also Chile. Those were the three teams out of South America that made it to the World Cup in France in 2019. We have three teams going directly to the World Cup this time around. Two teams are going to make it to the playoff. Now, just to explain a little bit, the playoff for the women work a little bit differently. For the women, the count of teams that actually go to the World Cup is not 32. It's actually going to be 24. Actually 32, no, sorry, it expanded, 32. So, it was 24 last time, now expands to 24. But the playoff is not like in the men's. In the men's, the fifth place team in the men's side, this time around, what it is that they have a tournament, right? So it's 8 teams going, and they're going to have, or 12 teams going. They're going to have 12 teams, everybody, from air to the World Cup. The good news is on two fronts, and I'll get to the local side in a little bit. The good news on the foreign side is that we have more and more players now featuring on foreign leagues in Mexico, in Europe. We have more players now going to different teams abroad, making a career abroad, in Europe especially. Great, because as is for the men's side, more exposure, more competition, fantastic. I just hope that Colombia make it to the World Cup despite itself, because for the national team and women's soccer as a whole in Colombia, unfortunately the biggest enemy is Colombia. And it's the directivos, some of the coaches. It's not a good environment. It's not a good environment at all. I mean, we've had so many complaints, so many denuncias made by players throughout the years. It's sad because it mostly fell on deaf ears. And these are players who are not just fighting to play, but are fighting for equality and just equal opportunity for themselves. Equal support. I mean, just at least show that you care. That's the goal. And a federation that still has to catch up in terms of showing that they really care about developing the women's game. From the senior team, to the youth teams, to futsal, beach soccer, para soccer, everything. Is still so behind. And there's still such a perception and a machismo as a whole that just it halts the progress of a team that is talented enough and has the fire to make something out of this. I hope, again, for this tournament in particular, at home, and again, something that the women's team, I certainly think, is going to have is crowd support. Because we know, and it's been proven, that fans in Colombia come out for women's soccer. And for a Copa América on home soil, for a chance to not only be Copa América champions over Brazil, over Argentina and Chile, but to also go to a World Cup on home soil is fantastic. I hope that every stadium, the Centenario, El Pascual, Alfonso Lopez, they all fill for Colombia, especially when they play at home. And also go to the other games, because those games are fun, man. Those games are fun in Copa América, within the South American realm. They're fun. They're fun to watch. So go out there and support if you're watching from Colombia, from the different cities that I mentioned. Or if you're not, make the trip, because this is Colombia's chance to really take another step sporting-wise and maybe win Copa América, or at least fight for it, and go to a World Cup directly in 2023. That's the big one. The other one, too, is the one you're looking at the screen. Liga Femenina is finally also catching up. And to me, that was the news that I honestly was the most excited about, was the fact that for the first time since the inception of the Liga Femenina, which is something that is still pretty new, it was only founded in 2016, so it's only 5 years young. For the first time this season, we're actually going to have a full todos contra todos tournament for Liga Femenina. No more Group A and Group B, play 4 or 5 games, then maybe a semifinal and a final, and that's it. I mean, it was ridiculous. The tournament lasted like 2-3 months. And the girls who, are vying to become professionals only played 5, 6, 7 games. And I mean, maybe more if you qualify for Copa Libertadores. But that was it. It was ridiculous. They treated Liga Femenina like it was like a preseason men's tournament. But finally, again, this season, I don't know if it's because of the Copa América factor, or I don't know what it was. Maybe finally, the sponsors and the mayor and the federation got a, fire under what, and finally set this up. But again, fantastic news, because for Copa América, again, a lot of these players are going to be on Liga BetPlay, are going to play the domestic league. Daniela Montoya, the captain, is playing for Junior. Linda Caicedo, who's the big prospect for Colombia, still playing for America. A lot of players are going to be preparing their Copa América in Liga BetPlay Femenina. So, yes, we're going to have finally 17 teams, 17 matches, 17 fight for quartos de final, semi-final, and final, which is going to end in June. So, 4 months. I mean, it's a little bit more, but more B of the talent that we have in Liga Femenina. Finally, for Colombia. Santa Fe was the class, right, with Cali. So it looked like it was a collision course. Ended up being a collision course between the two teams. But we saw also teams kind of take a step forward. Equidad broke through. Atlético Nacional broke through, a little bit. They even eliminated América de Cali. Santa Fe was last season. So we saw more teams again established. Millonarios also. More and more teams are finding their footing in this professional women's realm, if you will. Last year we had 11 teams. Again, a little bit also pandemic infused. We had now 17 teams in 2022, including Real Santander, including Orso Marzo, Llaneros are going to have a team, Fortaleza, Pereira, Cortuluá, Huila. So again, more well-rounded of this tournament, the Liga, and the runner-ups are going to go to Copa Libertadores in 2022. I like the format because it really kind of builds to, according to the importance of the tournament, right? So instead of like Copa Libertadores, it really works its way forward. Santa Fe was so close. They really had everybody like in the semifinals, getting past in the quarterfinals. So it was almost a goal, and it really got the hopes up. I was like, man, we might pull this off. And then of course Corinthians scored, and then it fell from there. But I will see again, because Santa Fe could make a run. Who knows? I mean, we'll see if they qualify. That would be awesome. But they can make a run. Maybe Cali can make a run of their own. They made it to the quarterfinals. So unlike the men, and we'll get to this later, but unlike the men, the bar is set pretty high for the women when it comes to Copa Libertadores and South American soccer as a whole. So I'm excited for that as well. I mean, we were talking about the men, because as I talked about before, I haven't been this excited about the Liga BetPlay and the prospects that it shows off of the signings. Just the signings alone, it's so exciting. So let's talk about it. Liga BetPlay 2022 is starting this Thursday. It's right here as well. Why Thursday? Who knows? I mean, I don't know. It's the scheduling. It's a mess. It's always a mess. But it is starting this January 20th, ending November 16th. Both tournaments. We're gonna have back to the old traditional cuadrangulares format that we had last year. So we're back at that again. Even though we do have, qualifiers for the World Cup, and, I guess thankfully we don't have, the World Cup in the middle of the year, logistically, because that would have been a nightmare It's always a nightmare for Liga BetPlay to adjust the schedule, aplazamientos, and all that nonsense. It's always a mess. So I guess this year they got a bit of a respite because the World Cup is at the end of the year. But we do have, again, the tournament coming up this Thursday. We have Águilas Bucaramanga will be the first game, which brings the return of one Leonel Álvarez to Liga BetPlay after an absence of a year plus since his last coaching gig. He'll be back, and I'm looking forward to it because, he goes back to like a low expectations team. So, and it's always fun. I mean, to see Leonel Álvarez out on the pitch, still with his curls and his mustache handlebar and his really, really tight shirts, which I feel like a button's gonna fly with a movement from Leonel. It's always fun to watch. I love Leonel, just as a character. It's always fun to watch him, and as a coach, very interesting coach. So I'm glad he's back. He'll face Bucaramanga at home. Then we have América de Cali, still with Juan Carlos Osorio. As of today, still with Juan Carlos Osorio facing Envigado. Then we got on Friday, also a doubleheader. Santa Fe with a new coach of their own. They have a man by the name of Martín Cardetti, former River Plate standout. He comes from Bogotá, who had a great run of their own in Segunda División, Primera B. So he makes the jump to Santa Fe. They face Equidad. Still, Alexis Garcia going strong. Then we got Pasto facing Millonarios. And we'll get to that a little bit later because it's been a little bit of a painful offseason for Millonarios. Saturday, Cortuluá, who are back in Primera División, hosting Nacional. One of those teams who, again, made a big splash in the transfer market. Once Caldas, Unión. I know a lot of you are this investigation, without knowing what happened. Last time around. Who knows what happened? Someone tried to sneak into the broadcast. But Llaneros ended up being to screw Fortaleza over. It looks like that's where it's going, right? All indications are going towards the hypothesis of Llaneros allowing Unión to win, to Fortaleza get screwed over. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't expect a resolution anytime soon, and Unión are gonna play back in Primera División. They're facing Once Caldas. We have Junior, another team breaking the bank, hosting Patriotas. Then on Sunday, Medellín, Tolima, the defending champions, also who had a big auspicious transfer market, who as also did Cali, who are going to the heat of Córdoba to face Jaguares. Alianza hosting Pereira, the revelation of the tournament last time around. So let's talk about signings because we got some big ones. I don't know about you. You tell me. I want to hear in the chat. I want to hear from you. Colombian at Colombia@gmail.com. Who won, quote unquote, the transfer market? It doesn't matter to me who won because I'm excited for a tournament that's going to have Gio Moreno, John Duque, Miguel Borja, Michael Rangel, Andrés Ibargüen. Who else? Wilson Morelo. Felipe Pardo. Also, let's not forget. Who brought in guys like Alexander Dominguez, the Ecuadorian goalkeeper. I'm excited, man. Those are some big names. Those are some big names coming to Liga BetPlay. Santiago Mosquera is back after his stint here in MLS with FC Dallas. I'm excited, man. This is going to be a really star-studded Liga BetPlay in 2022. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm telling you, I don't think I've been this excited for a Liga BetPlay season that I am for this one, simply for the names that we're bringing back. Let's talk a little bit because we have the big names, the big teams really, I think, splashed out. So, just to recap, we have the 4 Copa Libertadores teams: Tolima, Cali, Nacional, and Millonarios. I think 3 of the 4 really shined as far as the season is concerned. Millonarios, not so much. And I know, again, it's been a bit of a conflicting offseason for Millonarios. Losing Fernando Uribe, losing Daniel Giraldo, Caballo Marquez is gone. Not that a lot of people loved him anyway. but not really replacing them, or at least retaining them, if you will. Because coming back or coming in are Alvaro Montero, which I think is a great signing. I mean, Alvaro Montero is a selección level goalkeeper. Diego Erazo, solid. Not Fernando Uribe. You know, Larry Vázquez, José Cueno. So Millonarios going back to Copa Libertadores, they are not really ready for Copa Libertadores. Let's be honest here. If you're a Millonarios fan, I understand if you're frustrated. I will be too. But the other three teams, man, oh boy. Nacional, or along with Millonarios, Nacional have to face the pre-Libertadores, the qualifying stages. Nacional going to be facing the winner of the matchup between Olimpia from Paraguay, who bounced Nacional from their previous appearance in Copa Libertadores, and Universidad César Vallejo from Peru. So Nacional, second stage. Millonarios, with the least signings, have Fluminense. Good luck with that. Nacional, again, brought back Gio Moreno. Finally, because Nacional fans were suffering. They were fearful that maybe Colombia or not Colombia, oh my God. Nacional were about to do it again, or specifically not Nacional. Gio Moreno was about to screw them again. A couple of years ago, Gio Moreno was in talks with Nacional to come back from China. Everything seemed to be ready and set, and the signature was almost there. Except it never came. And the signature never came. Gio Moreno pulled out last minute. No Gio Moreno. This time around, it went on for weeks. Is he coming? Is he not coming? Is Edwin Cardona coming with him? That fell through. But Gio Moreno at the end signed. Finally. Just last week. He signed. He's back. Wearing number 70. And at 35 years old, if you haven't kept up with him, if you haven't seen him play in China, the guy is still quality. And for Liga BetPlay, the guy is still quality. And for Copa Libertadores, the guy can contribute still. I'm looking forward to it. Certainly, I know that Nacional fans are excited to have a team with Harlan Barrera and Rifle Andrade. And also have maybe Baldomero Perlaza, hopefully. Alex Mejia is back also. John Duque is back. They get a team. And I mean, how can you not? Not just for Copa, but also because Nacional are coming off of a very, very painful elimination from the Cuadrangulares last season. After being the best team all season long. Came Cuadrangulares and they just collapsed. I mean, it was epic, but they collapsed. So, by the way, they still got Dorlan Pavon. So they got a pretty good crew. In the group stage already are the two champions from last year. So we got Tolima. Tolima also big investments from Tolima. They got again Michael Rangel is a big one. They managed to bring him back. Even though Bucaramanga fans are going to be very bitter because Rangel wanted to come to Bucaramanga. He's from Bucaramanga. He wanted to come. And he flat out said, I got no offer. If you're Bucaramanga, how do you not offer Michael Rangel? I will never understand. But again, Bucaramanga are their directivas, their front office is maybe the most embarrassing. I mean, among the most embarrassing front offices, just out of sheer ineptitude in all of Colombia. It's incredible. Rangel signs with Tolima, so does Alexander Dominguez, again the veteran goalkeeper from Ecuador. Raciel Garcia, playmaker from Peru. They got also Brian Rovira, the young midfielder from Nacional, also coming in from Juan Camilo Angulo, the veteran fullback from Deportivo Cali. Another fullback also from Nacional in Jonathan Marulanda. And Andres Ibargüen, who they managed to bring back after so many years away from the team, where he also broke through before going to Nacional, and then going all the way to Liga MX. So he's back. So Tolima's got a pretty good squad. They got a pretty fun squad for a team that, again, won the title about a year ago. In Liga BetPlay 2022 won the first semester. They won. And they played the final for the second semester. The team that beat them was Deportivo Cali. They're going also through to the group stage. They got a pretty good squad as it is with Harold Preciado. They retained Teófilo Gutiérrez, which was the biggest signing they could have made was retaining Teófilo Gutiérrez. Teo stays. They also retained Guillermo de Amores, their goalkeeper, which was big. And it looked like he might not maybe come back to Deportivo Cali. He's back. They bring in Santiago Mosquera, which is also a big refuerzo from MLS, former Millonarios winger. And again, the biggest thing is they were able to retain most of the squad. They did lose Johan Valencia. He's coming to MLS, going to Austin FC. But they managed to retain so far Andres Colorado and a lot of the players that again made them the champions under Rafael Dudamel, who also stays, which is big news. In Copa Sudamericana, and I'll go back to Libertadores in a second, but Copa Sudamericana, we also have 4 teams. Junior to Papa, baby. It is selection year. If you're a Junior fan, you're excited because selection year, you know what that means. Los Char, they're looking to spend big because they're looking to get them votes in the election this year in Colombia. One of them might even run for president of Colombia. And a way for them to get them votes, from La Costa, Bobby, you better beef up that Junior team for the season. And so they did. I mean, they really did. Now, it started with controversy because Amaranto Perea is out, or Arturo Reyes replaced him, then he was out. They bring in Juan Cruz Real. And that got people really riled up in Barranquilla, man. Really, because the way he ended in America, he was champion in America. He won the title in America, did Juan Cruz Real. So, he's no bum, But again, the way things ended for him in America, it soured a lot of people on his management skills. Junior brings him in, and people are up in arms. And boy, oh boy, did the Char family see those boticos, flying away. So what do? Miguel Borja, come on back. Oh boy. They pulled out the big bucks and got Miguel Borja back from, technically from Palmeiras. They got him from Palmeiras. He'd been at Gremio. Palmeiras was the team that, owned part of his ficha. Borja's back. The big name signing for Liga BetPlay. Again. Him and Fernando Uribe. So they got 2 of the top strikers available in the market. And they got Jesus Cabrera, who was also a champion under Juan Cruz Real at America. Very nice player. I've always been a fan of Jesus Cabrera, playmaker. They got Daniel Giraldo from Millonarios. He was just in the Colombian national team yesterday. They get him to bolster that midfield. Very good player. Omar Albornoz from the champions Tolima. They bring him in. Also, nice playmaker type. Nelson Castrillon, former Tolima player, to bolster the right back position. Especially in the exit of Marlon Piedradita, who left. The veteran guy. So, Junior, they got everything to make a run at the title again in Colombia and also make a run in Copa Sudamericana. Don't doubt it for a second. And you better expect, if you're a Junior fan, you better expect Junior to make a run. We have America. Another team with controversy in the on the bench. Osorio. It's pretty clear that Tulio Gomez, the owner, wants Juan Carlos Osorio out. Problem is, he makes a lot of money. And it would take a lot of bucks, big bucks, for Osorio to be fired from America. So, he's got a coach. You got to let me coach. Signings, not many. Not really any. John Garcia is and Juan Camilo Portilla are the only 2. They lose Jason Lukumi. Oh, by the way, Lukumi also today was announced for Tolima. So I had another one to the champions from last year. Out goes Joao Rodriguez, one of those young players I was talking about earlier. Big hype, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hector Quillones is gone. Ureña gone. They both have legal problems now with Tolima because of the way they left Tolima a few years ago. So it's pretty much the same team for America. That only took him so far. And we'll see what happens between now because, I mean, the tournament starts on Thursday, but the signings don't stop yet. They got a few more weeks still. They got to do something. Tulio Gomez has to do something for America to really, again, go back to winning titles in the domestic level and make a run in Copa Sudamericana. Medellin, a team that also brought a guy from their past. Felipe Pardo is back. So is Andres Ricaurte. And they got a nice little thing going for themselves. They're bringing Brian Castillon and Steven Rodriguez. Ever Valencia joins, amongst others. Luciano Pons, who comes from Argentina, goal scorer. So again, they're going back to the well with Ricaurte and Pardo. I mean, not to say that they're not going to make a leap, because I think they should make a leap. And Medellin, quite frankly, hasn't been relevant in a while. So they got to make a leap, and they brought back these players who, from their past, who were champions with Medellin. So good move for El Rojo de la Montaña as they go back to the international front in Copa Sudamericana. Equidad, solid as always, but they can't get over the hump. They got a lot of people coming in. It's amazing because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players in, including the return of a guy in Pablo Sabá, who had a stint in Argentina. And they lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players. Whole new squad, basically. They do lose Cristian Bonilla, the goalkeeper. They lose Daniel Mantilla to Nacional. Those are big ones. Jefferson Mena as well, who joins Bucaramanga. Big one as well. So, again, turnover. But Alexis Garcia is a master of dealing with turnover and making the most out of it. So, they should be good. Aside from them, Once Caldas has a bigger problems right now because they might have a new name, and I mean it's an awful name. So just for those of you who don't know, Once Caldas has had a sponsoring Kenworth de la Montaña for a while. Kenworth and the Alcaldía de Caldas, the city of Caldas, if you will, or the city of Manizales. Mike, what am I saying? The city of Manizales, el departamento de Caldas, there we go, are not in a good relationship. So, Kenworth wants the name changed to like something de la I don't remember, like something ridiculous. Once de la Montaña something. Ridiculous. Of course, I mean, everybody's up in arms. And why wouldn't they? It's stupid. It's dumb. Once Caldas is your name. That's the team name. Copa Libertadores winners. That's why they're known internationally as Once Caldas. Just I hope everything gets sorted out and this doesn't happen, because this would be an awful thing for a team that's already been suffering mismanagement for the last few years. Just don't do it. Just don't. And we'll see what happens. Again, I'm excited because a lot of big names from all over the world coming back to Liga BetPlay. We have the Superliga coming up February 9th and 23rd between Tolima and Cali. That should be very fun to watch. Starting, I believe, at the Murillo Toro, I believe. But yeah, it'll be, again, February 9th and 23rd, the Superliga. Copa Colombia starting also at a date that has not been real. So we'll see what happens with Copa Colombia as it returns this year. Of course, Nacional are the defending champions. They beat Pereira in the two-legged final. This year, the winner of the Copa will also have, again, just like last year, a spot in Copa Libertadores in 2023. Primera B. After all the controversy involving Unión Magdalena, Llaneros, Fortaleza, they'll be back also this year. And I mean, we'll see what happens because it's such a mess. It is such a mess Fortaleza, and Llaneros will be there. So I cannot wait for the first time that Llaneros and Fortaleza face each other. That's gonna be must-see TV in Primera B this season. Back to normal. Again, last year we had two promotions and relegations. This season should be back to just normal. I mean, just two teams going up at the end of the year, and that's it. And then two teams coming back for 2023. That is Liga BetPlay. Now, on to the international stage, because we know that Colombian teams have been a massive embarrassment in Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. Not even close. Ever since, Junior made it to that one, that semifinal, a few years ago, that's been it. Every team that has been in Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana, massive disappointment. So Colombia has a huge day because we've fallen behind Chile, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay. We've fallen really deep into obscurity when it comes to Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. It won't be easy again because we figured that Millonarios is going to have a really hard time getting out of the second stage of the qualifiers. Nacional, again, maybe simpler if they face Olimpia, is going to be really tough. But with the big squad that Nacional got together, I expect Nacional to compete and make it all the way through. In the third stage, the prospects for both teams just to go through. So Nacional and Millonarios will face each other. That's the big prospect. The big prospect is that maybe we have a collision course that's going to cost Colombia one team from the group stage. As I mentioned before, Tolima and Cali are in the group stage. We'll see what happens in the draw. The draw will take place later on for the group stage, so we're not gonna know. It'll be March 23rd, so we're not gonna know for a while what the fate will be in the groups as far as Cali and Tolima for sure. Hopefully, Millonarios and Atlético Nacional as well. But again, no matter what, we gotta have at least a team make it past the group stage. For God's sakes. And with the teams that especially Tolima and Nacional and Cali too. I mean, somebody's gonna make a run. I mean, please, somebody make a run. Whatever team it is, it's at the point where I don't care who it is. Just someone actually show up in Copa Libertadores. Copa Sudamericana is no different. Same thing. It's been an embarrassment for Colombia teams. Sudamericana has a new format now for 2022. So what's going to happen is that the teams from the same country are going to face each other. So as you know, Copa Sudamericana it favors Brazil and Argentina teams. They don't have to go through the first stage. They go directly to a group stage. So for the first time, Copa Sudamericana is going to have a group stage. So a lot like the Europa League, where you have, a qualifying phases into a big group stage. 32 teams. Colombia is going to have 2. Because, again, Colombia teams are going to face each other, knock each other out. Equidad is facing Junior. Medellin facing America. The winners are going to go to the group stage. Same thing. Junior. I expect Junior to make it past Equidad and go deep. I really think so. And Sudamericana is going to have some big teams. Santos, Independiente, Sao Paulo, Internacional, Racing, Lanús. Even Defensa y Justicia, who have been a team that has won Copa Sudamericana in the past. Banfield. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. From other countries as well. I mean, Liga de Quito is playing this tournament, for example, out of Ecuador. So it's not going to be easy, but I expect Junior to show up, to be protagonistas. Same thing with Medellin, with Pardo and Ricaurte back. America, they still have a pretty strong squad with Adrian Ramos leading the way. So I expect 3 teams. And Equidad, again, solid. They can surprise and beat anyone. So why not? Why not Equidad make a run in Copa Sudamericana? But we have 8 teams. One of them. I mean, please, just one of them. Do something. Go to a semifinal. Go to a final. Hell, win. If we have a winner, my God, it'll be awesome. You'll be fantastic, but at least show up. That's the big debt for Colombian soccer in 2022, I think. So, we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on everything, of course. Copa Libertadores is set to begin. Copa Sudamericana is set to begin March 8th, specifically. Copa Libertadores is going to be played, let me see, because I had it in front of me. February 8th, so coming pretty soon. Within the next few weeks is Copa Libertadores. So we're going to have to ride this wave again. Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana with the Colombian teams. And on that note, we're going to go close it out for this episode of the Colombia Soccer Pod. Thank you again so much for joining us on episode 31. You can also listen to the show via podcast. So the audio of the show, we're going to have it via audio. So if you're ever away, on the road, and you can't catch the show on your computer, on your phone, on video, subscribe on iTunes, Google Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud as well. So you have the audio of the live stream on your cell phone, and you can listen to the show in audio form. Also, subscribe to this very Facebook page, this very YouTube page, to this Twitch account for all of the updates, all of the broadcasts. You'll be able to see them live as well. Comment live in the chat as we continue to build, a nice community, a nice audience here for the Colombia Soccer Pod. Follow us on social media, as you see on the screen, at Concu Soccer Pod. DMs are open. Colombia Soccer Pod on Instagram. DMs are open. On Facebook, IMs are open. And right below, right there, for your questions, your comments, talk to us. I want to hear from you. What do you think of 2022? What do you make of this year? Is Colombia going to the World Cup in Qatar? Is Colombia going to the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand on the women's side? Are you excited? Who do you think is going to win Liga BetPlay on the men's side, on the women's side? Do you think we finally have a team or multiple teams worthy of making a run in Copa Libertadores and Sudamericana? Let me know. Colombian@colombiapod@gmail.com. Right there is the email address to hit us up with your comments, questions, ideas for the show. You saw the show today. We got a logistical setup now. If you have ideas, if you want to contribute to the show, let me know. Colombian@colombiapod@gmail.com. For everybody who's watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate your audience, your time on a Monday night. We're going to have, again, every Monday night a show live here to recap all the goings on from Liga BetPlay, preview any midweek matchups, Copa Libertadores Sudamericana, of course, any big news for Colombians abroad, on a year in which we expect players like Luis Diaz to jump to a big league, Luis Sinisterra, perhaps, to make a leap as well, Carlos Cuesta, Daniel Munoz, also, making a jump. The arrival of players like Yacer Asprilla, perhaps, or maybe next year, we'll see. But we have also in MLS plenty of players coming in to join the league here in MLS. We have Eduardo Atuesta, for example, going from MLS to the Brazilian league. Hamilton Capaz, his development. Victor Cantillo, also, his future as well. So it's bright. The future is bright. Santos Borré, is he making a leap? He's having a great season at Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. So exciting things happening. We'll track it every Monday. A recap of, what happened with Colombians abroad on their domestic leagues, in Champions League and whatnot. And also, emergency shows. That's why if you see on my left-hand side right here, the next show is going to be an emergency show. Again, we're expecting the roster, the convocatoria for the Colombia games against Peru and Argentina to drop anytime now. Maybe as soon as Wednesday. They have up until Friday to do so. So when the roster is up, we will be here to recap it all on an emergency show, not on Monday. We're not going to wait until Monday. We're going to go live this week to analyze the roster of Reinaldo Rueda for the upcoming games for Colombia in World Cup qualifying. So again, subscribe, like the page, because that's how you're gonna know when we go live, when I go live to talk about the convocatoria for the next games. Other than that, I'll see you again next Monday, same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific here in the US, for more of the Colombia Soccer Pod. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever day that is for you.